So we all remember this.
Can't they run a car with the pilots and have a truck? Oh my God! Oh my God!
United got a lot of flack for this, and deservedly so. Shout out to Mayor Paco from Reddit for the logo, by the way. Why did they even let everyone on the plane if they knew they were going to have to bump someone for a pilot? It was a PR nightmare, and a survey by the New York Times said that 79% of people who had heard about the incident would choose a non-United flight, all else being equal. And 44% of people said they would rather pay $70 extra dollars or add 3 hours of flight time on their trip rather than fly United. Ouch. Add this to the government intervention and the settlement with Mr. Dao, and you have a huge mess. But does United have a financial reason to remove passengers from planes? What if it costed United thousands of dollars every time one of their pilots got bumped from a connecting flight for a passenger?
Go.
Say we're here in Chicago, and a pilot is about to get on a flight as a passenger where they'll fly all the way to Louisville to then get on a flight as a pilot and fly to Atlanta.
Okay.
But what if in Chicago, that pilot gets bumped from her flight to make room for a passenger? That flight still goes all the way to Louisville, but then in Louisville, that pilot or that plane is still waiting for its pilot. So this flight doesn't happen. In Louisville, we've got a plane full of people waiting for a pilot that's still stuck in Chicago. And then in Atlanta, we've got a whole airport full of people waiting on both a plane that's stuck in Louisville and a pilot that's stuck in Chicago as they try and get back to Chicago. How much does this cost? This could happen in any order at any airport across the entire United States. One delayed flight doesn't mean one delayed flight because there are network effects later on the line in that flight network. To find out, we analyzed United's flight network and created a model in order to simulate what the network costs are for every delayed flight. What we found out is that the largest airports with the most flights coming in and out of them, or hubs, are not the largest source of financial risk because they can share some of the variability of delayed routes. The riskiest routes tend to be those at the edges of the network, where there aren't as many pilots or as many planes to adjust to changes in flight schedules. So what did we find out after all that analysis? Well, if United had bumped the pilot from Flight 3411 instead of kicking David Dao off, we wouldn't expect any subsequent flights to be canceled in Louisville, and though there would probably be some delays, we estimate that those costs would probably be about $1,300, a lot less than they probably ended up actually paying. In our analysis, we've seen that it can cost United up to $100,000 in delay and cancellation costs for the bump of one pilot. So as a passenger, what can you do to avoid having your flight delayed because of a pilot that misses her connecting flight? Well, you can try and schedule your flight through a hub, as they are less susceptible to delay risk. You should also try and avoid taking flights on the edges of the network or some of those puddle jumping routes. And you also may want to choose longer flights, as planes generally are larger and have more capacity, and the airline has more incentive to make sure that that flight arrives on time.